Did you just get your PSAT score back and are you wondering, what does this mean? Can I get into college with this score? Do I need to prep for the SAT? Should I take the ACT? If all of these questions are rolling around in your head and you're wondering what the answers are, we're gonna talk today about what makes a good PSAT score. Exciting news here at SupertutorTV. We've recently launched the best SAT prep course ever. So if you're looking to get that awesome score you've always dreamed of, I've been private tutoring students for over 15 years. I scored perfectly on the SAT as an adult, perfectly on the ACT as an adult. I scored perfectly on the math section of the SAT also in high school. So I'm gonna share all of my tutoring secrets with you guys in over 100 hours of video prep. Plus we've got downloadable worksheets and lots of other cool things in the course. So go to SupertutorTV.com, check it out. We also already have had for a while the best ACT prep course ever. We've helped students increase their scores by up to 12 points with an average increase around 5 points for those who have reported their gains. So go check that out at SupertutorTV. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Click subscribe below this video. It's totally free. It doesn't cost you a thing. You can also, for free, subscribe to our mailing list at SupertutorTV.com/subscribe. We will keep you posted of any new offerings we have at our site, of any new and exciting videos we have on our platform. So go check that out. So let's get into this video. So I've updated this video for 2018 because we did a video last year on the same topic, but the numbers have changed a little bit and the College Board has come out with new percentiles and correlations between the PSAT and the SAT. So I'm doing a new video so that I can use the most recent data that there is. It's not horribly drastically different, but it's enough that I thought, it's probably worth it to make a new chart and to go through this stuff with you guys in a way that's a little bit fresh. So that's my first caveat. One more quick little tidbit that I want to share with you guys is the idea that your PSAT score is different from your SAT score, right? Because the PSAT is out of 1520 and the SAT is out of 1600. So there's a 40-point difference on each section of the test, right? You can only get a 760 max on the evidence-based reading and writing and the math section on the PSAT, but you can get an 800 on the evidence-based reading and writing and on the math sections of the SAT. So that discrepancy is part of why a lot of students are like, what does this mean? And you can look up on a college what their SAT score is, but what does your PSAT score mean? And the crazy thing is, the College Board does not have, at least not an easily accessible, correlation table for the PSAT to the SAT. So it's a little bit confusing. How do these two scores relate together? So what I'm going to do in this video is not only go through what kind of good level PSAT scores are, but I'm also going to try to compare them a little bit to the SAT so you can kind of feel out what numbers you need to get into the colleges you want. And what you guys can do, I have this chart on our blog that's associated with this post. You can find that in the comment section below this video. So if you just click in the comment section, we'll have a link to this blog. You can go there and you can find this chart and you can pore over it and punch the numbers all you want and imagine what your SAT score or ACT score might be. So if you recently took the PSAT, I'm gonna break it down for you. I'm gonna give you guys some different levels of what I would say a good PSAT score is, and we're gonna start with the most modest, and that would be what I call a decent PSAT score. So this has not changed year to year. A decent PSAT score is something that meets what the College Board calls a benchmark. And the benchmark is essentially the point at which, if you get this score on the test, it predicts that you have a 75% chance of getting a C grade or higher in your college freshman year courses. So this is basically, you can survive college, right? That's what the benchmark is. So if your goal is, I just want to get a college degree, I want to get a job, I want to have a nice life, you can do it. The benchmark is the place where you want to start. So let's talk benchmark. Benchmark for juniors is a 970. Which equates to a 510 on the math and a 460 on the verbal. The benchmark for sophomores is a little bit lower. It's a 910, which is a 480 on the math and a 430 on the verbal. What you might realize is that these numbers are a little bit different, right? You've got 30 more points you've got to get junior year to reach benchmark. And that's because every year you're supposed to be learning something, right? You're supposed to be improving in your math. You're supposed to be improving your reading and language skills, yes? So that is what accounts for that 30-point discrepancy. They expect you to be getting smarter every year a little bit, maybe a little bit. And so hopefully over the years, you're gonna get smarter. So in terms of the benchmark, what would that translate to for an SAT score? Let's just quickly look that up, okay? So a benchmark would be around the 50th percentile. So you can see here, here's our correlation. So what we're looking at is around 500 a section is what I like to ballpark, like 500 plus a section is what you want to be at. And that's just to get into a college. If your scores are under 500 in either section, it makes it much more difficult to get into a traditional four-year university. There are certainly colleges that don't require tests, and those are still going to be on the table for you. There are certainly options, but if you can at least kind of get into the 500s, you've got a shot at college and you can figure something out, okay? So that's our first level. The second level that I want to talk about is a good PSAT score. A good PSAT score would correlate to an SAT score that could get you into a college that you've heard of, as I like to say. That would be probably around 1190, 1200 on the SAT. What I like to say is I like to see around 600 a section if you just want to go to like a local state university of some sort, maybe a college you've heard of that has an admissions rate of anywhere from 40 to 70%. This could be a big giant state university that's not too competitive. It could be a local state university. It equates to approximately the 75th percentile on the PSAT or the SAT, and that would be on the PSAT an 1150 for juniors or a 1050 for sophomores. As you can see, the range from the sophomore to junior score just got a lot bigger. There's 100 points in this mid-range between the sophomore and the junior decent score, and that's because when you're in that middle range, we really expect you to be learning a lot year over year, right? Just because you've got a 1050 sophomore year doesn't mean you can just sit and like twiddle your thumbs and think, oh, next year I'm automatically going to get that extra 100 points and stay in the same percentile. No, you've got to learn, you've got to apply yourself in school. And if you stay on the right track and you stay on the same track you've been on, you can kind of stay at that level where you're going to be able to get into some sort of college you've heard of. And that's great. That's good. Let's talk very good PSAT score. A very good PSAT score is going to be enough to correlate to the kind of SAT score that could get you into a very well-known university. That could be something maybe in the top 50, and then depending on what other elements that you have going for you, it might not be like top 10, top 20, but definitely like one or two schools in the top 50 you'd have a shot at. This would equate to something around a 1400 on the SAT, or what I'd like to say is like close to 700 a section, maybe high 600s on one, maybe you got a 720 on another, but something around a 1400 is a very good SAT score. You can get into a lot of colleges with that score, and you're looking generally at a good chance of admission at schools who have an admissions rate of 20 to 40%. This is about the 95th percentile on the exam, or a 1360 on the PSAT for juniors, or 1250 for sophomores. Again, the sophomore and juniors levels are about 100 points apart, so we expect you to improve by 50 points per section or so year over year to stay in the game at the same level that you're at. And then finally, let's talk about an excellent score. An excellent score on the SAT would be like a 1500 or above. 1500, 1550. If you're at a 1550 or above, that's pretty much like gold standard for tests. If you've got a 1550 plus, you're basically on even playing field with everybody applying to Princeton and Harvard and Stanford and everywhere else. So if you're looking to get into the best school humanly possible, and you've got over a 1550 on the SAT, you're in a really good position. Even over a 1500 is competitive. That kind of score could get you in a university like that, depending on what other factors you've got going on. On the PSAT, what would this look like? This would be for juniors, something between about a 1460 and a 1520. And if you're a sophomore, it would be something around a 1370 to a 1520. The upper range of this score band is enough to complete a very strong application. Remember, your college application has many different factors that go into it. There are activities, there are grades, there are teacher recommendations. So your test score alone is not everything. Just because you have a score in this range does not mean you can jump for joy and start buying your college of choice sweatshirt. But it's pretty good news because it means that you've got a good shot at getting that score you want. That doesn't mean that you might not want to prep, because you might want to make sure that you lock that in. You might want to make sure that you get the very best score that you can. In any case, though, that's what it means. And also, the upper band of this score range is enough to potentially qualify you for the National Merit Scholarship Competition. And this competition is open to juniors who live in the United States. So if you are from a foreign country and live off in some other country, or you're a sophomore, you are not eligible for this competition. We're going to actually do a whole video on qualifying for National Merit in 2018. So subscribe to our channel if you haven't already so that you'll be sure to be able to check that video out. I'm going to break down all the National Merit stuff. But really quickly, I'm just going to show you guys what the selection index is. This is the selection index. Again, we're going to get into the other video. If this is not around a 200 or above, you're not getting any National Merit scholarships or anything. And if it's around 200, you might be close to like commended student status. but that's that. Otherwise, like if it's 139, don't worry about it. It doesn't apply to you. The great news about the PSAT is that it doesn't count for anything. No colleges care about it unless you get a National Merit Award. So if you didn't get a National Merit Award, that's fine. Just do really well on your SAT. You're going to be okay. And finally, let's just talk a little bit about this chart. I'm just going to give you a little preview of what I did and talk to you about my methodology. So the way that I created this chart, again, the College Board did not create this chart. This chart doesn't exist except how I created it. And what I did is first I took the ACT-SAT correlation chart that was put out by the College Board and ACT as a joint effort this summer. It was updated. And as you can see, the stars or the asterisks are the ACT scores that are like the perfect correlation to the SAT score. So these are the ones that it's like this is the true 35 is like the 1540. So you can see going down here what those correlate to be. And then I took the SAT score user percentiles and the PSAT score user percentiles for 11th graders. And I matched up exactly where those percentiles were. And then I matched up the matching scores. So when it drops from 99th plus to 99th, I went from right here to here, and then I matched these up. So everything's kind of matched up according to those percentiles. So this percentile column is all three of these scores, percentile-wise. That being said, I will say that most of the time, somebody who takes the PSAT, it's expected that you'll take the SAT the following spring. So if you showed up today and you took the December SAT like a week ago, that doesn't mean that your 1050 on the PSAT is going to correlate to an 1100 on the SAT. It might only be 1090 or 1080 or something like that. I don't know. So just kind of something to keep in mind. There's an expected sort of range of time between where these percentiles lie. The other thing that I'm going to point out is that I did this based on what they call user percentiles. The user percentiles are usually a little bit less generous than what they call the nationally representative sample. So what SAT does is they estimate what your percentile would be if everyone in the United States took the test, but everyone in the US doesn't take the test. What I like to say is that generally the people who are taking the PSAT or the SAT are those applying to college. So they are the more competitive pool of people than the nationally representative sample. So I'm not going to try to make you guys feel better or pat you on the back for whatever score you got. So I'm using the slightly more competitive edged user percentiles. And this is not the big number that comes on your score report. So if you look at your score report and then you look at my percentile and you're like, Brooke, that's not the percentile that mine has, you're probably just looking at the nationally representative percentile. And if you look really closely, you'll probably also see a user percentile somewhere on your score report. And then you can see what it is. So I'm using user percentiles because that's your competition, and you can kind of see how all this correlates. And go check it out for yourselves and start to research some colleges and start to figure out what scores you want. And then come back to SupertutorTV.com and we'll help you prep. I hope you guys like this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and we will keep you posted on what can get you some national merit points. We're going to go over our predictions for the selection index for this year if you're a top scorer. So stay tuned to our channel, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Have a good one.